Lately, I've been getting the same question asked to me over and over again, and that is, how can I practice slow living if I am living a very busy, hectic life? If I have a lot on my plate and I need to balance work and family and all other kinds of tasks and chores that fill up my days. So that is what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to share 10 slow living tips for busy people, and of course for anyone who wants to turn off the chaos and just enjoy a simpler life. Busyness is becoming the default mode for many of us, and that makes us feel like it is very challenging to slow down. But I have learned that even more important than how much time we have is what we do with that time. And slow living doesn't require endless amounts of free time. Of course, it helps if you have a bit of free time. But even more importantly, it is like a mindset that we can practice and use to prioritize the most important things, so that instead of living a busy life, we can live a full life. So before we begin, a little disclaimer on my part, because I feel like we are all busy with our own things and in our own ways. So for example, I do have experience with being busy with work and other obligations and commitments, and sometimes being very busy with these things. I don't have kids, for example, so that is not something that I can speak about from my own personal experience. However, for this video, I have included tips that I feel everyone would be able to use and incorporate in their life in their own way. So keep an open mind and feel free to take from this video what you can use and then leave the rest. And of course, if there's any tips that you really find helpful in your life and I haven't included in the video, then please do share them in the comment section down below, because I think this is an excellent topic where we get to help and inspire each other. Okay, so the first thing that I did myself personally when I wanted to embrace slow living was changing how I spent my breaks, and this was a huge game changer for me. So basically what I did was spending my breaks mindfully instead of mindlessly. So what does this mean? For example, instead of watching some random Netflix show that I'm not exactly even that interested in, now I just take my book and I spend a few moments reading. Or instead of being on my phone, just randomly checking Twitter updates that I don't care about, I brew myself a nice cup of tea and I enjoy it slowly while staring at the window looking outside. It is amazing how much time we spend doing things mindlessly, like checking our email or our social media, scrolling on our phone, watching Netflix without really being invested in it. And it is easy to think that we don't have enough downtime, but often in reality, we tend to spend our downtime on these mindless activities that can quickly lead up to hours and hours on a weekly basis. So changing that around has been a really big difference for me. I now spend my breaks doing something that actually recharges and replenishes me, either because it is something that I really love, like a hobby, or because it is something that truly helps me to rest. Another tip that works really well is taking an everyday routine or task and turning that into a ritual. And since this is an activity that you're already used to doing every day anyway, it is not going to take up any more of your time. But by changing how we do it and turning it into a ritual, we can learn to really make the most of it. We all have things we do every day, like the laundry, clearing out the dishwasher, making a meal, or even brushing our teeth. The slow living tip here is to take that one activity and use it as a cue to slow down and enjoy it without distractions. Doing that one thing slowly and enjoying the process mindfully can be very relaxing and also have a ripple effect into the rest of our busy day. The third slow living tip for busy people is to prioritize, because what we give attention to will grow. And if you are a very busy person, most likely no one is going to come to you to tell you to take some time off. You have to actually schedule that for yourself and be proactive about it. Even if that means getting up 15 minutes earlier so you can enjoy your breakfast, or scheduling in some you time in the family household every Thursday evening from 8 till 9 p.m. or something like that, whatever works for you and for your schedule. But you have to actually be proactive and schedule it and communicate it with the people at work or the people that you live with. We have a saying here in the Netherlands, and it goes, tijd is prioriteit, by which we mean time is priority, what we prioritize. So if you actually need to be by yourself every once in a while, learn to spot those little windows of opportunities, if even only for a few minutes, to be proactive and take it. Which leads me to tip number 4, and that is to focus on what is possible for you instead of on what isn't. And it's easy to hear things like this and think, okay, but my job doesn't leave time for me to have a good lunch break, or my kids don't leave me alone long enough to slowly cook dinner, or things like that. And it's easy to feel disheartened or demotivated and feel like life is running us instead of the other way around. So the trick here is to leave the areas of time management that are not open to change right now and to focus on making mindful changes in areas that you do have control over. Learn to get in the driver's seat and take charge of the moments of time in your day where it is possible to do things a little bit more slowly and mindfully. Even something like going to the bathroom could be an opportunity for you to choose how you want to spend that short moment. And I remember when I was working in a very busy office, I would actually use moments like going to the bathroom or going to the kitchen to grab myself a cup of tea, to center and relax and to find myself again instead of being on my phone. And I remember that that really did help me in the hours that followed. I think one of the biggest challenges when it comes to slow living is FOMO, fear of missing out. And if we want to do it all and be it all and experience it all, our life is going to be very busy and hectic because there's just not enough time in the world to do it all in our lifetime. There's way too much stuff out there. So we have to learn to be able to say no and turn FOMO into JOMO, joy of missing out. FOMO makes us feel inadequate, and our society today has so many channels that foster this fear of missing out. It is often only a click away. We can go on Instagram and see all these amazing pictures of all these interesting things that we could be a part of, reminding us of the fact that we are not. And this can lead us to agree to things just because we don't want to miss out. FOMO can also keep us glued to our phone because we fear missing important messages or status updates, or if we get a notification, we cannot just let it be. We have to check what it is, even if 99% of the time it is something that could have easily waited. JOMO can help us to not feel the need to keep up all the time and to actually be perfectly fine missing a status update of a friend of ours or not watching that show that is really popular right now and that everyone else is watching, because it can help us to choose what we truly value and then gladly missing out on all the other stuff. Number 6 is a very helpful and easy tool that we can use right in the moment if we feel very busy or overwhelmed with chores or to-dos. And that is to ask yourself the following question. Do I have to do this right now? And this seems like a very easy question, but the trick is to emphasize a different part each time. Do I have to do this right now, or can someone else do it, or at least help me with it? Do I have to do this right now? Is this something you have to do, want to do, or feel pressured to do? Do I have to do this right now? What would happen if this didn't get done today? Do I have to do this right now? Is this truly the most important thing? And do I have to do this right now? Can this be postponed to later today or even the next day, next week, etc.? The next slow living tip that I am also practicing myself is to learn to appreciate boredom, because it's actually pretty difficult to not do something for a while and to resist the urge to rush off to the next thing. And actually just taking 5 minutes to do nothing, to just sit and stare into the room and let your mind wander, or watch your plants or the bits of dust in a ray of sunlight, can actually be a really nice and restorative moment. Even the busiest of people probably have a few 5-minute windows in their day that they can choose to spend however they want. So instead of dulling that boredom by grabbing your phone, for example, next time this happens, try to see if you can choose to actually enjoy it and spend that moment slowly and mindfully. A large part of slow living is about getting back in touch with our needs and ourselves. So for example, our physical needs, like not putting off going to the bathroom if we really need to because we feel that we are too busy, or making sure that we are eating and drinking enough and also moving around and sleeping enough. Also our mental and emotional needs, our head and our heart, making sure we allow ourselves the time to process life and the things that happen during the day. And when we are really busy, it is easy to forget about these things and put our own needs last, if indeed we notice them at all. A simple trick that you can start doing today is to set an alarm in your phone for 2 times a day. And simply whenever that alarm goes off, take 2 minutes to check in with yourself and check in with your mental, physical, and emotional needs. So your body, your head, and your heart. And make sure to put those needs first and not last. It may seem like it's not possible, but we cannot help others if we pour from an empty cup. We need to make sure that our own cup is full and that it can overflow, so then we can help others. Learning to slow down in a busy day and checking in with yourself is something that I focus on a lot in my Slow Living online course, which is called Unhurried, the 30-day Slow Living program. And during this course, you'll get practical guidance to help you experience slow living firsthand. You'll receive a daily email from me for 30 days with that day's new lesson and an inspiring challenge. These challenges are realistic and easy to fit in a busy lifestyle, but together they will inspire lasting changes. Purchasing this course will also give you lifetime access, so you can work on the program in your own pace and repeat it as many times as you like. To sign up or to get more information about Unhurried, check the link in the description box. Another way that I like to practice slow living myself is to make sure I appreciate the seasons. Because if we are very busy and we're very rushing from one thing to the next, we might not stop to appreciate the beauties that the seasons have to offer. However, when we slow down, we might suddenly notice that we are experiencing our surroundings in a richer and deeper way. Seasons change all the time, so if we don't take notice of the beautiful fall leaves, for example, when they're there, we will have to wait a whole year to have another chance. And because of this, the seasons are a great reminder for us to slow down, be mindful, and just take a look around. You could go for a walk without listening to something else or without being on your phone and just looking around, really experiencing the season, the way that it feels, the way that it looks, the way that it smells. Or right now in the winter time, take some time to curl up under a blanket with a warm cup of tea. So see what you can do to appreciate the seasons whenever you have a chance. And the last very practical slow living tip that I want to give you here is to turn meal times into a slow moment. And here again, try not to focus on things that are outside of your control or that are very hard to change, but focus on the things that you do have control over. So if lunchtime at your job is just very hectic, then don't start there because you might get demotivated. So instead, maybe you could wake up 15 minutes earlier so you can have a nice breakfast. Or maybe dinner can be family time where screens are off limits and you can enjoy each other's company. Or even something as an afternoon snack, just being able to really enjoy it without distractions and just taking a short while to give your thinking mind a break. That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining. And if you want to help this video reach more people, then you can do that by clicking like and hitting subscribe to the channel, because these are clear signs that tell YouTube that people are enjoying this video, and then it'll push it out to more people. Again, I would love to know how you incorporate slow living moments in your life, so feel free to share that with me and everyone else in the comment section. Click here for self-care ideas for stress, and click there for how to live clutter-free. As always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye!